welcome to week 4 of our Advent curriculum in Light and Darkness. Today we're going to be looking at the scripture passage from Luke chapter 2, verses 15 through 20. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them. Like I said, that came from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2. And now onto our reflection for this week. If you would like, you can download the journaling part of this Advent devotional. It's available in the weekly email that we send out, or just call the church office and we'll make sure you get a copy in the mail if you would like a physical copy. Maybe you can print it out on your computer at home. But just contact us and we'll make it happen for you if you need assistance in getting a physical copy. But hopefully you'll have a chance to listen to this reflection, listen to this passage, really absorb it, and write in the journal for this week. Maybe you do a little bit of coloring in the journal along the way. Now, in a small town at the beach in North Carolina, and probably in other places too, there's a rule about porch lights. Actually, the rule is no porch lights. For those people lucky enough to live or vacation with the Atlantic Ocean as their backyard, I'm sure some of you have done that before, this is the deal that they make with their surroundings: to not introduce any artificial light at night. This means if they want to go walking on the beach at midnight, they have to find their way by moonlight. Now, the rule exists to protect sea turtles who come ashore to lay eggs and find their way back to their watery home by the light of the moon. When other lights are introduced into their environment, the turtles can become confused or disoriented, lost, and they might find themselves in danger, dehydrated, and far from the waves they'd thought that they were heading towards. So it makes us wonder about the shepherds making their way towards Bethlehem after the angel's invitation. How disoriented might they have been by the light that broke through their sleepy night sky, by the vision of the angels before them, by the announcement God was bringing good news and they were invited to be a part of it? Did the darkness seem even deeper when the light withdrew? Did they rub their eyes with their fists when the angels appeared? Did circles of light remain in their vision after the encounter with the angels? Like what happens if you accidentally look at the sun and then look away, or when I'm looking into the live stream camera and those lights are bright in my eyes. Whatever adjustments it took, the shepherds certainly fared better than the turtles do after a new light is introduced into their night sky. The shepherds don't have any trouble making up their mind to travel across the dark land. They seem to make their way through it and to the light the angels had proclaimed quickly and easily. Which makes us wonder, were the night shift shepherds the first ones invited to visit because they were used to the darkness and could traverse it confidently? Their eyes were trained for that environment. They trusted the world at night and themselves within it. Barbara Brown Taylor, in Learning to Walk in the Dark, writes about her first experience exploring a cave that hadn't been outfitted with lights for tourists. She thought about the cave's natural dwellers, bears who came to hibernate and give birth, bats and frogs who come for the cooler temperatures, raccoons and skunks who come to duck in out of harsh weather. But why were she and her friend there? Why do people choose to make their way through darkness? That's harder to say, she admits. Now, we come to see what is here and to discover who we are in the presence of what we find. have been what the shepherds were after too. Night after night, under that wide sky, they probably had a sense of perspective, of how they fit in the world. But when the angels come with their news and call it good, and say that it's for everyone, it's an invitation to set out and see what is there, and to discover who they are in the presence of what they find. And this is about more than just the shepherds. When they arrive, they tell Mary and Joseph and the baby all that the angels told them. Then the shepherds leave, they rejoicing. They've become carriers, bearers of God's good news, and witnesses to it. Mary stays, pondering. She's been a bearer of that news in her own way, and now she's a recipient of others rejoicing over it. Everyone becomes someone new through this encounter, birthed in the darkness, proclaimed in the light. Here are a few questions that are offered in the journal for this week. Maybe sit back, find a quiet place, and ponder them for a little while. Maybe writing everything down works better for you. Maybe color as you think about these questions. What do you think the shepherds talked about on their way to Bethlehem? What might they have been wondering about or looking forward to? Or what were they fearful of? It's kind of an interesting thought, isn't it? To think about what they might have been talking about along the journey. Maybe they were rehashing their whole experience with the angels. Maybe they just talked about work. Maybe there was silence for a while. Maybe they were scared. And the next question is, what are the emotions that you carry when you set out on a journey? I've noticed that when I was in high school and college, and I'm thinking about a journey as in a time that I've traveled, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, because those emotions are very real. When I would travel, especially in college and right after college, I had no fears at all. I just remember being ready to go on that plane and see the world. That was exciting to me. I love new experiences. I love trying new foods and experiencing other cultures and attempting to speak new languages. And as I've gotten older, I found that I get more and more nervous as I start out on those journeys. Once I get there, I'm fine. But for some reason, something makes me a little nervous as I've gotten older. That's something that I'm going to be pondering. But also when you start out on a new journey, just in life in general. Maybe you took a new job. Maybe you're starting a new school. Maybe there's a new member of the family. That's a new journey. What emotions do you carry with you when you set out on a journey? Have you ever gone somewhere, just down the street or far from home, that gave you a new perspective on who you are? Think about that. Could have been from your childhood, could have been a week ago. What's something a new experience that gave you a new perspective on who you are? And the last few questions. How is Jesus' birth good news for the shepherds? How is it good news for everyone? What was it that was so crucial that this word had to be brought to the shepherds? What was this important good news for them? And how is that good news, not just for them, not just for us, but for everyone? And this Advent, how are you being invited to explore, to discover, to proclaim, and to rejoice? This Advent, what are you exploring? Are you exploring what the holidays mean in this time of COVID? Are you discovering new traditions? Are you proclaiming God's love in the midst of where we are right now in the world? How are you rejoicing in the midst of that as well? We hope you enjoyed this Advent reflection for this week. Please enjoy journaling, coloring, whatever it is you're doing with these reflections. We hope it helps you to explore this season of Advent and what light and darkness can mean, both of them working together. Next week will be our week 5 reflection, and that'll be obviously intended for as like a Christmas Eve reflection. So we'll be sharing that next week as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.